Chris Buescher, is that you? Chris, is that you?
Sir. What's going on?
Hey, man. There you are. I want to see if I can spotlight you here. There it is. Spotlight for everyone. Nice hat. Like that hat, man. Script Ford. Not Script Ohio, Script Ford. Like it.
We got y'all hooked us up again this year. We got these are probably one of the best fitting ads I've ever had, as well as being neat. So
nice.
Y'all done good.
Nice. If I can ask you, if you can tip your camera just a little bit, we got the bottom. There we go. There you go. Perfect. There we go. All right. All right, everybody. Appreciate you joining us here today. We've got Chris Buescher, driver of the number 17 Fastenal Ford Mustang, joining us here for a few minutes. And if you've got a question, I see some hands up in the air. We'll get started right off the bat. Chris, appreciate you joining us. Let's get started with Claire B. Lang. Claire B., why don't you kick us off today?
Thank you. Chris, talk about the practice. Talk about the practice session on Friday and then the qualifying on Saturday, the heat races. What's your mentality about getting practice, what you're going to have to learn or figure out, and then, of course, the heat races?
Yeah, Claire, I think the practice will be the most important thing, is trying to figure out how to get something that drives decent, really to get us in the ballpark. We're going in very unknowing in so many of the situations here. So I ran a 604 crate weight model there last week, and it was a similar draw a number, run heats, and build points from there. And to be real fair, I really didn't like that system at all. So I'm not looking forward to the heat race part of it. I really wish we would have qualified more like we do everywhere else, and set the field like that. But I say that because I ended up torn up in those heat races, and made for a really, really tough start to that week. So I think a lot of it's going to be survival, trying to do decent in the heat races to get a good starting position. I don't completely understand the system, but I haven't done much dirt racing in my past at all. So like I said, we'll work on practice. We'll get it driving decent. We'll go into the heat and try and get some points without tearing our race car up, and that way we'll find ourselves ready for a really long dirt race.
And how do you look at the iRacing Pro Invitational and what that will lend big name drivers, first one of the season?
Yeah, I know we're going to be doing quite a few of those this season. So the first one on dirt will definitely be an interesting way to kick it off. So Roush Fenway's been working hard on getting an esports room set up at the shop so that we can actually go in and run these iRacing invitationals, so that we can be more prepared and try and learn what we can from it. I know with iRacing, they typically scan all the racetracks, and everything is very much very accurate to what the track surface is. But to my knowledge, the dirt hasn't been there long enough for them to go through that process and do it that way. So my understanding, and this was several weeks ago, was that the surface is kind of a best guess and an artist rendering of it. So I don't know that we're going to learn as much from it in that regard, but it will still be fun and a very interesting way to kick off our iRacing league.
All right.
Thank you for your time, and good luck. Have some fun with it. Okay.
You got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. Let's go on to Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Chris, so after your experience last week on the dirt, are you looking more forward to it or less forward to it?
I'd say about the same. I had a really good time last week running that 604 car. I think I'm going to do a little bit more dirt racing when we get time. And some of the events like Talladega, we're already there. So dirt track's right behind the speedway, right? So it's a good opportunity to go get a little bit more seat time in. So I had a blast doing it. So from that aspect, I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed the dirt racing part of it. I've enjoyed the handful of ARCA races I've done in the past. We were fortunate enough to get one of those ARCA wins at DeCoin, I believe it was. So, something that I like doing. It's kind of like road racing. It's not in my background at all, but I just like doing stuff that's a little bit different from time to time. So I am looking forward to it. Like I said, the heat races and the points added up from passing and cumulative to finishing position, all that other stuff. I don't like that just because it's varies very, very far away from us, what we usually do to set our field. And I feel like my only experience with that was last week, and a lot of luck went into it, and a lot of bad luck ended us with, kind of a rough week. So other than that, I am looking forward to it. I think it's going to be pretty neat. I've been, wishing we'd go to a dirt track really since I've been in the Cup Series, and since the trucks have been doing it. I think it's put on a pretty good show every time. I think it's going to be fun. I think I'm going to enjoy it because it is something new. I hate that we lost a concrete Bristol race. Bristol being my favorite racetrack, I wish this one would have been added on to our other 2 races at Bristol, and we would have had those opportunities. But at the end of the day, it's neat that we're going to be giving something a shot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Let's go to Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thanks, Chris. How physical do you think this race will be as compared to a regular short track event?
It's going to be way less physical than a concrete Bristol. The loads that are put on you are going to be a lot less. You're going to have more breathing room as long as you're not hacking up dust. But I think that from the physical side of things, it's also half the distance. Our lap times will be significantly slower, so the time in the race car will probably end up netting out close. I think that you think of Atlanta, for instance. We just came back from there. Atlanta, you would think, would wear you out way more than a high grip racetrack like Texas or Charlotte or any of these other mile and a halves, but or Vegas. But Atlanta, even though you're working the wheel a lot more, the pace falls off, and the loads that you get in your body are actually a lot less as you get through a run. So it ends up not being quite as physically draining. Has been my experience anyway, and other drivers might tell you something different. But I don't feel like the physical aspect of Bristol on dirt is going to be harder than it would be on concrete, especially at half the distance.
And what about contact between cars? How much? I mean, is there any likelihood of more, less? What do you envision in terms of how much that will be?
It'll be way more, and we'll have cars looking even rougher than they typically do leaving Bristol, I believe. The bright side of that is we do not have splitters on the cars. So I think typically when you have issues hitting fenders or running into each other, the splitter, it wins every time over a tire. There's just no give to them. So I think all the time you're worried about cutting tires down from contact with a splitter. Well, we won't have that. The noses are pretty flexible now that piece is gone. So I think it does open it up to being able to push and shove a little bit more. That being said, you gotta make it to the end still too. So I don't know that the dirt turtles that were on the inside of the track will still be there for our race that were there last week. I would imagine they will be due to the circumstances that they were put in and the reasoning behind it. So that will be something that you will watch out for. That was an issue for cars tucking noses up under, tearing stuff up with those. Essentially it's turtles like we have at the road courses, but they're piled in with clay. So they're very, very aggressive and very destructive as well. So we'll be looking out to try and stay off of those and try and stay off of other cars as much as possible. But you're going to have a lot of beating and banging that's really not going to be on purpose. It's just going to come with everybody trying to figure this out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Let's go to Woody Kane.
Hey, Chris, appreciate your time. You've been on what you guys categorize as a big short track at Phoenix, and then Bristol will kind of be a one-off with the dirt on it. So will it be Martinsville before you guys have a good handle on where your short track program is, and how do you envision that race going? I mean, it's kind of a clean slate.
Yeah, it'll definitely be Martinsville. This Bristol dirt race is not going to tell us anything from from where we believe our short track program is completely one off. We're doing things to a race car that we've never even thought of before. It's just completely outside of our wheelhouse, and so we'll take it for what it is, and it's an exhibition of sorts. So we'll go enjoy that, but it is going to take getting to Martinsville to really figure out where we're at and what we think we have. So what I will say is some of the road racing parts and pieces seem to carry over to short tracks, and we felt like the Daytona road course went really well for us this year. Both the races we got to run. We had speed. We didn't quite get the finishes that we should have, but we definitely had speed. And so that makes us hopeful that when we go to short tracks, we're going to have the grip in the cars. We're going to have the forward drive that's going to make us pretty competitive. And Martinsville is a place that I've steadily gotten better at. And I think that we had pretty good runs last season as well. So we are looking at that as our telltale for the short tracks. Can't really get a read off of just one race, but it'll definitely help point us in the right direction and head towards what we feel like is going to be our biggest focus.
Thank you.
Thank you, Woody. Let's go over to Marty. Go ahead, Marty.
Thank you very much, Dan. Chris, thanks for taking the time. Hope you're well, man. It seems like the biggest thing to me entering this weekend is going to be throttle control at the Bristol Dirt. I talked with Daniel Suarez 2 weeks ago, asking him about that throttle control, and he said that this is a race where he wished he had less horsepower because it doesn't seem like these cars could possibly be going wide open on the straights. Do you agree with that take?
I don't know yet, but I would say that the information that I have gotten or heard leaving from some of the truck teams and truck drivers leaving Eldora is they did detune their motors or the carburetor to make less power. More than likely, that's going to be the case at Bristol as well. The only asterisk I put next to that is the amount of banking that is still in the track with the dirt. It is less than our concrete track, but it is a lot for a dirt track. I watched the tractors out there trying to prep it last Saturday and literally slide down the hill, unable to even get to the top. So there's still a ton of banking, and I believe that will put a lot of load in the cars and make it to where you might be able to use more power than you think, more than Eldora for sure. It'll really kind of depend on where the track goes as well. So that's the big thing. I have no clue of what to expect as the track goes from wet to tacky to dried out to slicked over and sealed off to rubbered up. I mean, there's so many different factors that are going to go into how much throttle you can use. But at the end of the day, if you have the power, you don't have to use it. So that's going to come down to control with our right foot and how we feel like we're able to manage our power and tires and manage the racetrack.
Thank you, Chris. Good luck to you this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Daniel McFadden. Go ahead, Daniel.
Hey, Chris. So as someone who has minimal experience on dirt, what surprised you about how Bristol handles with dirt on its surface, and what are the pros and cons of a 250-lap dirt race there?
Let's start with the cons, shall we? We don't know what durability is going to be for a dirt race this long. For track conditions, how the track's going to change throughout that. There's just a ton of unknowns in it. So what I noticed and what caught me off guard really was the amount of dust. Been to dirt races, it's gotten dusty, but not quite to this extent. We were there racing from some of the days we were racing at 9 a.m. all the way to the curfew at 1 a.m. It was a ton of racing on track. And what I noticed during the day and in the afternoon, which is when we're going to actually be starting, is the track conditions. They can't keep enough moisture in it. And so the dust is just insane. So I was fortunate enough that I got some YWX safety glasses that actually have some foam seal around them that helped me be able to see. It took a lot of working on the helmet to try and get it to where I was able to keep keep dirt out of my eyes early on in those afternoon races. And then once we got into night, it was significantly better, but still on the dusty side. So again, a lot of unknowns, a lot of what we don't know. 250 laps at that track with the stage breaks. I mean, I'm sitting over here thinking we're going to have to prep the track in between stages or water it or keep up with it. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but from what I saw, it seems like it's just about inevitable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. And now making her Ford Zoom call debut, I'd like to call on Liz Clark. Liz, are you ready?
I am. Thank you. I was so happy to wait my turn. I learned so much. Chris, thanks for all your sharing with us. So this question may be a total non-starter. Let me know if so. I'm wondering, when you were growing up in Texas and getting into racing as a kid, did you ever go to Devil's Bowl Speedway or any dirt track around Texas that made an impression on you?
So I guess I'll give you two-part answer. I did make it to Devil's Bowl, but the impression that it left on me is almost non-existent because I was way too young.
Okay.
So I can't remember the experience at all. I remember I got a T-shirt from there and had it until until I was way too big to be able to wear it. But it was an experience. I really can't remember much out of it. So we did very little dirt track racing growing up. I ran motocross for a couple years out there. None of that applies. It's so wildly out in left field compared to even what we're doing now. Seems strange to us, but that was on a whole nother level.
Got it. Well, I appreciate your candor on that. If I could just tack on a quick one. In the laps that you were able to run last week at the Dirt Nationals, what part of that experience you got do you think will translate into a Cup car that's admittedly quite different than what you were in last week, not to mention the 250 laps? I mean, all the variables and unknowns you've spoken about. Like, what translates? What is the value there, you think?
It's actually a really good question because I left there wondering the same thing. So I purposely ran a crate car that was lower on horsepower than the supers. We were hoping that it wouldn't have all of the same characteristics of a super that are just so insane when you watch rear end movement, speeds, being able to run right around the top and have enough power and grip to make that work. What we left with is a race car that would wrap the bottom, rear end would move all over the place. It had tons of bite and tires that were way softer than what we're going to have. I mean, it's just a lot of those variables that I don't have a good answer. I think that for me, it was good to feel the track. Nothing's quite like being on the actual racetrack. It's the same reason that when we go to road courses, you'll see drivers go and run an IMSA car beforehand. It's not going to carry over much from a vehicle dynamic standpoint, but you are on the track, your visuals, bumps, curbs. It's very similar for the dirt, I think, with the exception that the dirt will change. Now, I do have some knowledge of that and where it went, where some of the holes started, and where they will continue to develop as they do more racing there. I think that we will all be watching the truck race very, very closely. I know a lot of drivers Cup Series drivers chose to go try and run the trucks to have something that's even more similar to the Cup car, and that may end up being the absolute right call or the closest to the correct call that we could have made. But at the end of the day, I think I did come out with knowledge of the track, knowledge of a little bit of what to expect, and to be fair, I had a blast doing it. So to the point where I'm gonna try and pursue a handful more of those 604 races through this season. But I hope I got enough out of it to justify going up there and spending a week and having the late nights and in the early mornings. But if it wasn't enough knowledge, it was a lot of fun.
Super. That's really well explained. Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you, Liz. Great to see you. Let's go on to Chris. I've got 3 more. Okay, I'm just going to try to squeeze these in real quick, if that's okay. Let's start with Dustin Albino. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, hey Chris. So you finished 7th over the weekend in Atlanta, led 57 laps at Homestead. Overall, how pleased are you with the start of the season?
Overall, pretty happy. I think we have discovered our mile and a half stuff has made some pretty big leaps, and that's thrilling. It's a very large part of our schedule. I think that have seen that it shows up better at the low grip racetracks. So your Homestead, your Atlanta, we'll be looking at Darlington, maybe a little bit of Kansas. Would have been looking at it at Chicago, but it's a lot of pluses from that side of things. We ran, I think it was 14th at Vegas, and my memory shot. I hit walls too hard, but I think our mile and a half program in general is better. At the beginning of the year, the super speedway, we know we have fast race cars when we go super speedways. We didn't get a chance to show it with the melee that happened 15 laps into a race. So we don't have anything to show out of the 500, but we know we're going to have fast super speedway cars. Our road course program was way better this time around, and we've been working really hard on that. I've been working hard with some driver coaches as well, trying to learn as much as Ryan and I possibly can, getting ready for all these new road courses. If you term Phoenix into a short track, which I don't know that we really will, Phoenix was our low point to start the season, and it was not good. So we're working really hard on that, trying to figure out why, how to make that better, how to make that translate into Richmond better. But for the most part, I'm really happy with the progress that's been made. Everybody back at the shop worked really, really hard this off season, and they always do. But we had a game plan, and actions were set into place, and we accomplished a lot of our goals, and we have a lot more to go yet. So overall, very pleased and very thankful that everybody was able to find speed in all of the little places that make our cars go a little bit quicker every week.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, thank you, Dustin. And our final question, let's go to Ashley McCubbin. Go ahead, Ashley, close us out.
Chris, thank you for your time today. It seems with not only just this weekend alone, but the past couple weeks, we've seen a lot of focus on the Bristol dirt race. But in the long scheme, it's one race of the season. Why do you feel we've had all this focus and discussion about this event?
So that's a really good question, because I've wondered the same thing. We've talked about it a little bit. It is a one-off. The best way I can figure is it's kind of a wild card, and we say that knowing you're going to have your dirt racers that are going to be competitive, but at the same time anything can happen at that, and I think everybody's looking at it as a fairly equal opportunity to win a race and win their way into the playoffs. I think that's why you're seeing so much focus on it. Also, I think that it is so new to everyone that it started out with, hey, we just need to talk to somebody that knows a little bit about dirt racing, to, all right, next thing you know, we have dirt aces in a shop trying to tell us what to do to these race cars. Got us worrying about mud buildup in the grill, knocking oil pump belts or power steering belts off, dust, dirt, where it goes, all of those other issues. And I think it just became everybody trying to take in so much knowledge that it probably looks like we're doing a little bit more than we really are, but we're just trying to make sure that we're prepared to survive the thing. And then at the same time, trying to make sure that we can be in a position where we can take advantage if it does become one of those wild card races. So you're absolutely right. It is a one-off. It's going to come and go, and it'll be behind us. But everybody's working hard to make sure that it's a good opportunity for them to go win a race.
And you mentioned earlier you had the strong run at Atlanta. How much of a confidence boost was that for you? And does that carry even into a weekend where things are a little different?
To an extent, yeah. I think that Atlanta was an awesome race for us. It wasn't a winning race for us, which is what we want and what we're working hard to get back to. But we had a lot of confidence after Homestead 4 mile-and-a-halfs. Vegas was pretty decent. It wasn't as good as Homestead was, but then we had Atlanta circled as a place that's very similar to Homestead that we thought a lot of this stuff would tie into and carry over. So it ultimately did. We did not have to work very hard to adjust race car during the day. We hit our balance very close off the truck, and we had good speed, short run and especially long run. So there was a lot of good that came out of it. To be fair, I think the dirt racing the week ahead of Atlanta probably helped. When you run into the corner at 100-something miles an hour at Bristol and just sling it sideways, getting a little bit loose at Atlanta did not feel so bad anymore. And then with that, we had a good run at Atlanta, so we'll take that momentum and head into Bristol, knowing that I've already been on track as well, and try and enjoy it as much as we can, because I do think it will be fun, and we should be able to take it for what it is. We got to go race. Things are going to happen that are going to be out of our control. It's not going to go perfect. It's not going to be as smooth as you want it to be, but ultimately it will be a good time. It'll be new. We're going to have a bunch of fans that are going to be able to watch it live and in person, and I'm sure tuning in on the radio and on TV that are really going to want to see this for the first time. So we're absolutely going to take that momentum, enjoy this weekend, whatever may come of it. But definitely look as a pretty awesome opportunity for us to go sling a little dirt.
Perfect. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, Chris, I'm going to have to watch it on TV and listen to it on radio. I think a lot of us here who may not be able to get to Bristol wish we could be there in person to see it, but we'll be watching you intently, and best of luck this weekend, and thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish hopefully sooner than later we can get everybody back to the track and watch it in person, but until then we'll do our best to put on a show for y'all.
All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.